Okay, this is going to be our first experience with the flipped classroom. That's when I teach on video, and then after you're done, you work or you can ask me questions. Okay, I have to solve in this equation for x, but we need to simplify the equation so it does not have the parentheses, okay? So what I do is I underline my underline parentheses and the number that's right out front of it with its times, okay? And you need to use your rainbows, distribute. So I'll be taking 6, 6, and multiplying it twice. Once by 3x, then once by 5. Okay, so 3 times 6 is 18. You got to put x on that product, and then 6 times 5 is 30. So you're going to drop your equals, and then you're going to cross out the parentheses and the factor that was multiplied into the parentheses, and you're going to put 18x plus 30. And then it's equal to 66. Now, your parentheses is gone. Dot your x variable. It's being multiplied by 18. Make your wall. And then plus minus times divide. So we're just looking at that side. So outside the circle, we got plus 30. We got to take that to 0. How would you take a positive 30 to 0? Again, you're at positive 30. You move left to get to 0, meaning you'd subtract 30. Okay, so I go 66 minus 30. That's going to be 36. So we have 18 dot x equals 36. You come over here and cross out your plus minus. You're done. Now the equation has multiplication, which means we need to divide. So when I see division, I want both sides underlined and dividing by 18. That cancels and that cancels. Okay, 36 divided by 18 is 2. So x is equal to 2. Okay, my next problem. Again, I don't want that parentheses there, so kind of underline that. Now, one thing I'll warn you, if you have a minus sign, you're going to want to make that plus negative. So when you multiply the 3 times those two things, you're going to want to take 3 times 4x, and then 3 times negative 8. So 3 times 4 is 12x, and then 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So I drop the equals and I write 12x plus negative 24. And then you can cross out the parentheses and the number that was multiplied into it. But you need to put your 12 over here. Okay, now you're at the dot and circle part. Make your wall. Plus minus times divide. So on this side of the wall where the x is at, I see something outside that has to be taken to 0. That would be the negative 24. Now, how would you take a negative 24 to 0? Okay. Well, your negative, you have to go this way, wouldn't you? Which means you're adding. So plus 24 plus 24. 12 plus 24 is 36. So you have 12 times x equals 36. Okay. So the plus minus is done. Now it's time to multiply or divide. Okay. Well, the equation has multiplication. We are going to be dividing. And we're going to be dividing by 12. X equals, then I take 36 divided by 12, and that is 3. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Again, there's the parentheses, the outside multiplier is a negative 5. Okay, so again, I don't like that minus, make it plus negative, and I then need to do the rainbows from the negative 5. So I'll be taking negative 5 times each one of the things inside the parentheses by 1x and by negative 5. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. You can use a calculator if you want. and then you drop. Now, do not add those. That has an X, that doesn't. You keep them separate. So you write negative 5x plus 25, and you can now get rid of the parentheses and the outside multiplying number. But you still got negative 25 over here. Okay, so do your dot and circle, make your wall, and you got to do your plus minus followed by your multiplication division. So outside the circle we got a 25. We have to take that to 0 by adding or subtracting. So if you're at 25, you're over this way, which means you'd have to move that way, meaning you subtract 25. Okay, so we have negative 5 dot x equals, and then I go negative 25 minus 25, just like that, and it's negative 50. That takes care of that step. Now, we have multiplication, so we have to divide. We'll be dividing by the factor multiplied by x, which is negative 5. Okay? Don't switch it to positive 5 when you divide. When you draw your line, it's got to be by the exact same number. Okay? 5 and negative 5 are not the same number. So x equals negative 50 divided by negative 5, and I divide those and I get 10. Okay, next up, 42 equals 3 times the parentheses 2 minus 3x. Again, in the parentheses, you want to do the plus negative, okay? Because when you distribute, you need to see the sign of what you're multiplying. So 3, that 3 right there, I write that out twice, and I will be taking it times 2 first, and then by negative 3x. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times negative 3x is negative 9x. Okay? So I drop my equals. Now the parentheses was over here, so we want to put that over there. 6 plus negative 9x. I have nothing else over there, and I have 42 over here. Okay, so dot your x and circle it. And your wall's on this side now, because that's where the x is at. So plus minus, then look at multiply, divide. Now you got that 6. We got to take that 6 to 0. It's positive, so to take it to 0, you go this way, which means you're going to minus. 42 minus 6 is 36. Equals negative 9 times x. So that's done. Now we're at the multiplication, but if the equation has multiplication, we have to divide. And we are going to divide by the factor that multiplies x, which is negative 9. These can cancel. Now x is by itself on one side, so I just have to divide the other. 36 divided by negative 9 is negative 4. Okay, 3 more in the back. Again, that parentheses got to go. So it has that number, and you want to underline that whole thing. Make the minus plus negative. So when I distribute, I take my 5, write it down twice, and we're going to multiply it first by 2x, and then 5 times negative 4. So 5 times 2x is 10x, and 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. So drop your equals, and on this side, you write 10x plus negative 20. On the other side, you put the negative 10. Okay, I want to see the dot and the wall on the side of the x. Okay, so the wall, there's a negative 20. How do you take a negative 20 to 0? Well, you have to move this way, which means you're adding. So plus 20 takes us to 0. And then plus 20 to your negative 10. So negative 10 plus 20 is 10. So we have 10 equals 10 times x. Now we are done adding and subtracting. I have multiplication, so we are going to have to do the other one, which is divide. That allows me to cancel those, and I divide the other side by 10. 10 divided by 10 is not 0. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Okay, next one. Negative 3 equals 3 times the parentheses. So I want to underline that, okay? So I know what to multiply in. Ignore the rest of it for now. Distribute your 3. So we have a factor of 3. We will be taking 3 times 2x, and we'll be taking 3 times negative 1, which is negative. Okay. So 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So I drop my equals, and on this side we put 6x plus negative 3. And over here you still got your negative 3. Okay, so dot your x, circle it, make the wall. This is the side of the wall we're working from. Plus, minus, times, divide. So we have this number outside. We have to take that to 0. How do you take a negative 3 to 0? Which way do you move? You're at negative 3, you're moving that way, so you're adding 3. Add 3 there. Okay, it's kind of weird. Negative 3 plus 3, that's going to be 0. Double check it. So 0 equals 6 times x. Don't get freaked out by the 0. Just keep doing your thing, okay? We have multiplication, so we need to divide. So we divide both sides by that factor, because that's the multiplier of the x. So 6, 6. So 0 divided by 6 equals x. 0 divided by 6 is 0. Okay. That's okay. 0 is a number. Okay, then finally, ooh, I don't see a number in front of the x. I guess I better put a 1 there. Okay. And now I'm good to go. Okay. So I got negative 2 as my multiplying number. Times it by 1x. And times it by positive 10. So negative 2 times 1 would be negative 2. You got to put x behind it. And negative 2 times 10 is negative 20. So drop your equals, and you write negative 2x plus negative 20. Forget that, and now you got 12. So you are going to be dotting your x and circling it, making your wall, then doing your plus minus times divide. So we got a negative 20, okay, outside that has to be taken to 0 by either plus or minus, okay? You have a negative 20, so that's on the left side. Take that to 0, you would go this way. You'd add 20. So plus 20, plus 20. So 12 plus 20 is 32. So you got negative 2 times x equals 32. And that's done. Now you see times, you're going to divide. So underline by the number that multiplies the x, negative 2. Got to be by the exact same number with the exact same sign. So negative 2, negative 2. When you divide, you can't cross out a negative 2 and a positive 2. Those aren't the same factor. It's got to be by the same one. So then on my calculator, I take 32 divided by negative 2 is negative 16.